thank you, Jenny, for joining us. I've attended some of your sound baths, which are just magical. I think just that's the
Thank
only
you.
word I can use. Just magically amazing. The singing that you put into it, the energy that you put into it, the different activities that are involved, and just the feeling throughout and the feeling you walk away with. I just it's so moving.
Maybe we could start. What is so on your bio, certified sound and energy healer? What is that? How would you describe
What is sound and energy healing?
what do you do?
You know, I would say sound and energy healing is exactly what it sounds like. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. Sound and energy healing really is using noise to cancel out the other noise, the unnecessary noise that's in our lives. And it forces us, which is a very scary thing, to sit down with our own organic thoughts to find clarity about who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and who we're doing it for. I discovered it not by actually doing sound healing, but actually being the visitor, being the guest myself. And I found it had such a profound impact on me, and it married so well with my background in my love for music. In my childhood, my dad always had a camera in his hand, even before social media and all of that type of stuff. So that was just kind of ingrained in myself and my other two sisters, that we just fell in love with it. So it pulled everything together. So spiritual healing in general is something that I have been so in tuned with and so in love with. The modality of sound healing was just my choice of modality, because I felt like there's two universal languages of love, and that is food and music. And I think that allows us all to put every single human or soul on the same playing field. And so the reason why I felt like I could reach so many more people through sound healing, because it's something that everybody understands, is familiar with.
What is going on? So Catherine says magical. What's happening? What is that?
Well,
We're all energy, and so I'm guessing part of it is creating different vibrations to get to different feelings. Tell me.
yeah. So the technical portion about it is really that we have a sympathetic nervous system, a parasympathetic nervous system. So being on the East Coast, a lot of us don't even touch that parasympathetic nervous system, where the West Coast is a little bit more with it, if you will. We don't know how to slow down. In a nutshell, we just, as humans, don't know how to slow down. And then whenever we don't slow down to figure out who we are, we live in somebody else's world. So that's the spiritual part of it, right? And we chase down things in other people's goals and dreams and other things like that. What sound healing vibrations do is that it actually allows us to go on a wave, right? Of frequencies. Yes, there's ones that are passed down from ancient practices and ancient teachings, where it teaches us that whenever you listen to music and you go up and down, that it actually clears our minds, it clears our body, it clears our soul. And so the technical piece of it is really that we're trying to make our whole body slow down. When we slow down our breathing, we actually slow down our heart rate. And there's just so many different avenues. So I'm trying to
Sure,
pick and
yeah.
pull. From the shamanic practices, they believe that whenever the ultimate beating of the drum is something that's already been ingrained in us, because it's our heartbeat. We're already born with a drum. And so whenever shamans would play the drums, there's something called entrainment. The idea is that they're helping slow down that rhythm. So the best way I can explain it is that if there's two clocks and they're going at different times, eventually they start to catch up and they all end up at the same time, the same rhythm, right? That's entrainment. And so sound healing and spiritual healing is really based off of that principle, where we're helping kind of align our bodies to come down to a more grounded, rooted level. And then whenever you're there, you kind of are in this timeless portal, if you will, where the urgency of getting that deadline in no longer is the most important. It's prioritizing what you really, truly want or need in life. So it sounds very deep, and it is, But I have worked really hard to build my craft to not make it feel so difficult or so inaccessible. I want it to be accessible to everyone and anyone, to kind of just open up that little window of hope, of maybe happiness or self-discovery, and for them to then just take off and start to dive deeper in there.
Yeah, and I could definitely attest to that. Especially the drumming, when you mentioned that, I could just almost feel again what you experience in your sound baths with the big drum. I don't know what you call it.
Chief.
Yeah, okay. Chief, that's it. I love
Yeah.
that. You just standing there and just banging that drum, it just immediately just gets you in that rhythm. You feel your whole body.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense that your heartbeat is in training or syncing up,
Yes.
right, with that rhythm of that drum.
100%.
I sang in a
Powerful.
chorus for many years, and even there were studies of many different metronomes going off at different rhythms, and eventually they all line up and they're all become in sync. And
Yes.
they're all doing this.
Yes.
Or the singer's heart rates are all eventually match up to, if they're all in this space, it all becomes aligned, and it's just
Yes.
way beyond my comprehension of it.
It's mind blowing, right? Like, so even though I live, eat, and breathe this spiritual realm, this belief system, the reality is every day I am blown away by things that happen. And I go, wow, like to see things. I genuinely believe in my own system, my own belief system is that everything runs in cycles, right? Our body runs in cycles. Our ancestors run in cycles. Even just like our family dynamics run in cycles, but so does nature. So does what we put into our bodies, what we do to our bodies, what we do with our bodies. Our body is our temple. And that's not religious. That's just, I mean, without our body, we're not here. We're not who we are. And so I want to take care of that. If we take care of our mind, body, and soul, then we're able to really honestly do anything we want.
Anything. It's powerful.
Yes.
So it sounds like you had a different career and then went to this, experienced it, went headfirst. What was that process like for you?
Yes.
And part of our podcast is, how did you take that leap from, okay, this is my career, I feel safe, this is where I make money, this is my identity, to this is my purpose, this is my passion? What made you specifically say, I can't be stuck in this, I don't know what you did before, corporate world or whatever you were doing,
Yeah.
to this new world?
Well, I'll try to like get us through kind of the journey really quick. So just from the very beginning, I was a teacher, a high school teacher for 15 years, where I was the ED, emotional disabilities and autism teacher. It was one of the best chapters in my life, and I love and still keep in touch with a lot of my students. I realized, though, throughout those 15 years that when my students went home, I could help them for 8 hours a day. But when they went home, you know, if there were things going on there, I couldn't help them there. I could only help them whenever I was teaching them. And I soon learned that their parents were honestly the same kids that were going through the same things, but just never really were able to get it fixed or knew how to get it fixed. And so I'm a huge believer in just taking chances. And during COVID, I felt like it was my sign, along with, I think, many other people in the world, to just change. And so I had 4 little kids at home, and I retired from teaching very, very early on in my career. And I started doing a deep dive into what marketing looked like, what I could do on a bigger scale. So I started my own brand called Let's by Jenny. And the LET in Let's stands for Let's Experience This. And my whole goal was to teach others how to live through creating their own experiences or rituals, daily rituals, to where they actually liked the way that their day looked. Because I love the way my day looked. I hate mornings, for instance. I hate morning time. Like, I'm just not a morning person. I'm a night owl. I just am. So what I did was I created a cute little hot tea bar, and I, kind of created my own little ritual. I made smoothies for my kids in the morning, and we got to kind of pick things out, and it became something I looked forward to. This past summer, actually, I discovered paddleboarding. I was out there at the sunrise every morning. I had to get up at 4:30 a.m. I hate morning.
Wow.
And there was nothing more motivating than getting out there and being scared, actually, because it's pitch black dark and you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And then putting the board onto the water in complete darkness, not knowing what's lurking under there, still scares me. And then just seeing the sunrise, and then everything becoming clearer and seeing these beautiful birds just like flying across. So I know I'm going off on a tangent, but like, it's so important that those are the little things that I did every day that eventually gave me the courage to be like, okay, I want to share this with the world. So I did Let's Buy Jenny, and I did it well. And the way I made money through that is I tapped into the influencer market, right? Where I was able to share experiences that I really believed in to others as well, and just saying, hey, add this to your life. It wasn't every post. The majority of the posts were just kind of showing other people things that I did without monetizing it. But then a big global social media agency picked me up. They found me and they liked what I was doing online. And I ended up working with the top 5% in luxury brand and bridal for 2.5 years, traveling the world and hosting TikTok shoots and being at these beautiful, incredible events and stuff, and living the life and loving it until I didn't love it and realized I really missed my kids, being in control of my own time, my own expression of life. I was living again in other people's amazing $1 million, $1 billion worlds, but I wasn't living in mine. I was just visiting theirs. And I soon realized that just wasn't for me anymore. So I took another chance, and I have to always give my husband credit for, marrying me, but also for allowing me to just kind of spread my wings to do that. So I will say that I have that piece there. And I knew I had unconditional love. So that piece definitely, I think, was a security blanket for me. I know that there's so many out there that don't have that. I kind of looked at it as like, well, I would love to be that security blanket somehow, some way, or at least be a reassurance that like, hey, you can do this too. And so I left that job. I spent a year just living for me, my family, for me, and just kind of reevaluating everything. And that was very hard because then we went from 2 very, very large incomes to very, like, just one, with 4 kids, 5 dogs, turtles, fish, a house, all the things. And we were like, how are we going to make this work? And I just said, I'm going to just branch out. I'm going to try. And so it started with one post in a Facebook group. And I said, is anybody interested in sound baths? And I was asked random questions like, do you have to wear a bathing suit? What does that mean? Kind of the questions you guys are asking. And I didn't have the answers. But I was like, I got on the phone and I did like discovery call after discovery call after discovery call. I landed a couple of little gigs here. I think my first gig in doing a sound bath was in an Axe bar after hours. 7 people showed up and I was nervous. I was so nervous, because I didn't want their first experience to be something that took them away from this world. And I knew then, though, after that session and they all said, oh my gosh, I need to do this again. When's your next one? And I didn't have another one lined up. I go, okay, I'm going to try this. But I'll tell you, it was very scary because when you start touching the spiritual realm, you start touching a lot of sensitive points for people. Is this okay to do in my religion? Is this okay to do in my culture? Am I going to be looked down? Does this person worship Satan? Because I've been asked that. I don't. Things like that. And so this past year has been I'm going to go all in, see where it takes me. And I'm going to just live in my most authentic self. So I would say 97% of the year, I didn't put on lipstick I just literally went for it and completely changed things around and worked on my delivery. So I really educated myself in Hindu, anthropology, theology, so Hindu, Ayurvedic, Chinese medicine, Christianity, actually. Like, I'm starting to go to church on Wednesday evenings now with my good friend because I need to know all of these nooks and crannies. Because here's the magical piece about it, is there's so many different connections to every single culture, every single religion. There's so many different connections. And really what it comes down to is the connection to self, the connection to where we live on earth, and the connection up above, whether we call that the universe, we call that God, we call that many gods or goddesses, whatever it is, there's still a deep connection. And so I'm on this vendetta to find all these different connections and to help educate myself, but then deliver it in a very accessible, open way.
I love that. I love what you're saying about
Thank you.
all the connection and everything. What do you say to someone who is a skeptic or that is asking you those questions about, is this okay with my religion? Is this, how do you address that?
And getting over the stereotype of, this sounds really foo-foo, this lady is really out there. What is she talking about? What does all this mean?
I find that, and I take this very, very seriously. I'm a very quirky person, but I do take this part very seriously, is that it's very important that I educate myself and that I listen to what they have to say, because they're not wrong. I'm not wrong. Neither of us are right? It goes back to when we say the word balance. Balance means two different entities that are kind of wavering like this at all the times. Every culture has something like that. Yin and yang, pillars of polarity, opposites, yes and no, light and dark. Every culture has that. So when I look at that, I go, they're not wrong. I need to learn from them just as they need to learn from me. So I listen. It's time. That's really what it is that I now have the abundance of time because since I dedicated my life to this and I don't have another job somewhere else, I have the time to listen and to educate myself and to find where those connections are. I also believe that, like I said, with music and food being the universal language, in fact, in 2 sound baths from now, there's going to be some epic food, just so you guys know. I also like the element of surprise, so you don't know what kind of food it is or whatever. But I look at it as like when we're sitting at a Thanksgiving table with everybody that has differences, we respect it. And that's a time that we've allotted for ourselves to listen and give thanks. I'm just kind of creating Thanksgiving over and over and over again in my sound baths or whenever somebody speaks to me. And it goes a long way. It's the simplest thing, but it goes a long way. And I'm not going to win everyone over. I've been in very uncomfortable situations. And the only thing I can do is just be. And if I were to sit there and shove it down their throats, they're not going to listen. But if I listen to them and then I am able to connect with what they're saying, along with what my belief systems are, it takes time. It takes time.
I'm hearing a lot of commonalities here that I find kind of just working through. We both have a background in the special education, and really my time one-on-one is one-on-one, and how do I increase that where I can help these people and then they could help these people. So really we've been on I think a journey expanding our scope. I'm hearing the continuous seeking of growth and knowledge and education, and I think that's very important to us as well. The older I get, the more I feel like I don't know stuff and I want to learn and continue to grow, and that's really important to us. But I also hear gratitude. We were, just before we got on, we were like, wow, how lucky are we that we are just here on a Thursday having lunch and get to talk to Jenny, and this is our schedule. And it wasn't always like this, and we've worked very hard, but we are so, and for me, this gratitude journey has really helped with my anxiety and depression, and really looking at noticing what do I value, what's important, and be thankful even for the tiniest little things really changes my mindset. And I know you talk about gratitude as well.
I love that so much. Gratitude is like the pinnacle of things, right? So that's something that all of us can align with. So one of my favorite teachers, Bob Proctor, he wrote Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life. He also wrote The Secret. He has read the book called The Science of Growing Rich, I believe, by Earl Nightingale. He's read it at least 5,000 times, right? He's so brilliant. But he goes, when you live in a vibration of gratitude then comes to you. High vibrations come to you. And I couldn't say that to someone that's actually deep down in a depressive mode at that moment, right? But what I can do is have gratitude for them and listen. And then they can come to my sound bath and they can find it themselves in the quietude of their own brain. Well, I'm just playing music, right? So there also is something to be said when your eyes You might have like 100 people in there, but your eyes are covered. I invite you to open your mind's eye. And for other people, it's just to open up your thoughts. I might say divination tools. It's also coping strategies. Same thing, right? So I think having the ability to be able to use the same verbiage and the vocabulary to help people is really important, but living in gratitude and also living in present tense is super, super important. Not that I will, not that I am going to, it's I am, right? If you don't have an I am statement yet, I highly encourage you to build your I am statement and to allow it to continue to change and rewrite that I am statement every morning. When you do that, it can be, I am, you can start off with if we're in a low place, I am low vibration. I am depressed. But then if you want to change that and you think about the gratitude, you go, I am happy. I am living my best life. And the moment you keep doing that, you go, well, what? Then you ask yourself, what is a best life? Because a best life for somebody else is a Chanel purse and Louboutins. I sold all mine, right? That for me, it's like getting an incredibly rare crystal, or I just adopted this gorgeous drum and I could tell you all of the story about it. And I sit and I'm like, that is mine. Nobody else has that guy. His name's Scout. He's amazing. So I'm going to be on a tangent for a second. On my website, like I'm working on photographing each one of my instruments because they're part of my sound family and they all have a story. That is so rich for me. But people that are in a depressive state or they're in a low vibration or they're going through something, they've lost someone they loved or they don't know who they are. They don't have that. So they cling on to what these brands or whatever is being thrown in their face or that promotion that's dangling like a carrot in their face. And you're just like, does that promotion really matter? Like when you're 80 years old? No. What do you really want? And so I know I went off on a tangent, but gratitude is where it starts. What are you grateful for? If you don't know what you're grateful for, start there. Find things that you want to be grateful for. And something that I always say is host your happy. And if you don't know how to host your own happy, be the host of your life, then you need to go have a tryout for your own soul. Go sign up for a kickball team. Okay? Go try something you've never done ever. And you might find that perfect best friend that showed up. That's really what it is. Host your own happy. And if you don't know what your happiness looks like and your gratitude looks like, go host a tryout for yourself.
I love that.
Yeah. Host your happy. And you may hate it, but you may love it. You don't know.
Yeah, you have no idea. Yeah. But you will figure it out very quickly, right? You'll be like, nope, this was not for me, right?
Yeah.
Because you had the balls to like just go out and do it. And so I'll tell you, like the underlying motto for Ohm Dome is grab life by the bowls and ohm it. Okay. But this, right? It's very quirky, right? But the truth is like, go take that chance. Go do it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think in those experiences and stepping out of your like mundane life or the things that you're doing for other people and just kind of getting out there really helps you to see, what feels good, what you like. And we talk a lot about values and living a values-driven life or values-based life in the work that we do and figuring out what those values are, what's important to you, what's important to this person over here, or what you think is important, or that, job promotion or that bag or those shoes or what, really feeling what's important. I love that you tie it back to gratitude. And it's like that could be what you're actually grateful for, what you truly, deeply feel grateful for. That's in line with your values. And if you don't know what that is, I love the idea of a tryout. Host a tryout.
Host a tryout. Host your happy.
Find out what brings you joy. And
here's the deal is like, here's the easy part. It's hard, but it's easy. If you're in this mundane, constant cycle, daily cycle, and you don't know what it is, so you don't know what to reach out and grab, all you have to do is break the cycle. Just do something different. Start getting up at 4:30 in the morning, right? Create your own 5 a.m. club. Mm-hmm. Try something different because the majority of people go, I just don't have the time. But you have the time. There's 3 freedoms. Can I go through this really quick? There are 3 freedoms.
I just saw this yesterday. I think so weird. I don't know. It just popped up and it said there was, well, I'll let you go, but
Okay, yeah. I'm
Tell
like,
us,
if you,
tell
maybe
us.
I want to see if they're the same. Okay,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
three freedoms that every human, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you tell me this is not true. It's true. There are three freedoms in life that every human longs for. It's the freedom of time. It is the freedom of expression, whatever that may be. And I'm going to say freedom of money, but it's whatever it is that allows you to have freedom of time and freedom of expression. Everybody, if you talk to, not everybody, that I'm going to back that. Most people are constantly thinking about, how do I make more money? It's something that's just ingrained in us because that's what we've been told in our system that we have to have.
Yep.
That's what we're spending our time on. So if you were to find a way to at least get a couple of those freedoms done, like freedom of time and freedom of expression, you'll find the money. Instead of chasing the money and not having any of them, you don't have any of those three freedoms, right? So when I started out in 2024 and I said, I'm going to go for this, I was actually under in my bank account, but I just knew I had freedom of expression and I had freedom of time. And I have never felt so rich in my life. I'm starting to get a little money in. It's still very, very wonky sometimes. But honestly, there's no burden on my shoulders right now, right? Because I'm not focusing on the freedom of money. I want it and I'm going for it. But I have freedom of time and freedom of expression. And that job that I had that seemed so miraculous and magical and somebody else is living their best life, I think that they think they're living their best life. They're living somebody else's, in somebody else's world. And I'm not saying to not do it because a job is also very important. I'm not saying like negate all of your responsibilities and just go be free and be a hippie, right? I want to be very clear that I work harder than I've ever worked before. I don't get a lot of sleep, which is why I hate the mornings. But I work a lot, and I call it the work and the woo. You can have some of the woo, but you have to have the work. It's very important. But put your work towards something that you actually really, truly want and care about. And that's why I'm here, so that you can figure that out.
And it's not a job. It's something you probably enjoy doing, and I could see you love it, and you want to do it
crave
more.
it.
You can't wait
I
to
crave
work. Yes.
My number one job is motherhood. I think that is the one thing that I would be so lost if I never had, but that's just me and my own skin. Like I love it, but it's also because my teachers in life are my kids. Right. So there's many times that I'm holding these sound baths and I go, what would my kids do? Right. I go back to that and I work damn hard to ensure that they don't lose it. Because somewhere along the lines, as humans, we lose it to conformity, that's not even a word, conformity, to pressures, to societal norms and whatever. Kids are literally so grounded in their life. Like they're alchemists themselves.
And
I'm so
the
proud.
hardest job, but the biggest rewards.
The biggest rewards and the hardest job is honestly having them keep it.
Yes.
As they get more and more exposed to what everybody else is doing in life, it's for them to just be their own person. That's a very, very hard thing to do.
We took the leap this year out of the society pressure, and we're homeschooling. And I was
Wow.
very apprehensive and very nervous, and time and how am I going to work and with the kids, and
You guys are braver.
Magical.
I'm glad that it's magical. I will tell you, I don't know if I'd be the best homeschool teacher.
We're figuring it out. It's not for everybody. I'm not saying, this is what everybody should do.
But I love that you guys are doing that together.
Well, and there's a balance because they do go to a school, like a farm school, 2 days a week. So we have that.
But that's experiential, right?
Yeah. So they get to get out and be with kids and be with different teachers and different people on a farm, and they're doing schoolwork inside and outside and getting to experience all that. And then we also have that separation too. So I think that balance.
I love it so much.
Yeah. We're learning and growing through it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like you said, we're learning a lot too about ourselves, for sure.
Well, that's the other thing too, is one of my virtues, because I think every soul should have their own list of virtues. And one of my virtues is honestly to be a forever student. And that's the thing is like I learn a lot. Like yesterday, I had somebody over. They would teach me all about holistic nutrition. I'm not good with food or like a cook or anything like that. So this was so foreign to me. But the way that he explained it to me, I go, oh my gosh. He goes, what you're putting in your body is a cycle. Right? He goes, so sometimes you got to cleanse the cycle. Sometimes you have to eliminate something. Sometimes you have to, and so that resonated very much so. But I do want to share this with you guys. I hope we have time. If you guys are,
Yeah.
My kids go to community charter school.
Oh.
And there's only 2 charter schools in Loudoun County that is a public charter school. So it's free.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't pay for it.
We were in California for 10 years, and charter schools were huge out there. And
Yeah.
surprising.
There's only 2.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
What I love about them is that they are a project-based experiential school that are based off the Da Vinci principles. Leonardo da Vinci, curiosity, exploration. They start school off with everybody going to recess,
Oh.
right? To wear them out, get them inside. Then each quarter, they have something called Leo Night. So every single subject is based around a project that has been curated for that touches all of the different subjects. So one time they made a rainbow garden and they had to do historical research on agriculture, on what will actually grow here. Then they had to do like finances, materials, math, all this stuff, the science of how to grow, when to grow, right? All those things. And then they had to write about it. And then we came and we literally bought things from their garden that they had grown and other types of things, right? There was all these different maps that they created. So I'm sharing that because I searched near and far. I probably would be homeschooling by now if I had not found this school. I liked the idea that they were working like we do in the workforce towards one common goal. Mm-hmm. And they were able to have practical application and understanding when they were learning how to subtract, divide, multiply, all those things.
I love that. And I feel like that's what we strive for in the things that we do, whether you're taking them ice skating or to some adventure park place, or we're doing cooking or science experience. We're trying to draw everything in. Even travel, we went to London in September, and everything we did up to there was like history based and geography, learning about where we were going to go, and it makes
so MCCS might be good for your kids, just saying, because
learning is not just at the desk doing a worksheet. I mean, it's real.
It's not.
World.
That's actually, and what Bob Proctor talks about it is he goes, actually, the most educated people in the world are actually just really great at knowledge collection. Right? So when you go to Harvard, and I'm not knocking it because listen, I didn't get into Harvard, I'm not knocking it, but he goes, it really doesn't matter if you have all that knowledge if you don't know how to apply it. Some of the smartest people we know in the world are not the richest and they're not the most successful. They may have read every single book in the library, but what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that? And so this school really spoke to me, and that's why I'm all in for them, because they provide the most incredible experiences. The 5th graders go to Shenandoah and stay in Shenandoah for a week. Oh. I mean, they do all the stuff. We just had a sleepover at the Baltimore Aquarium for the 3rd grade class. Like, we do enriching things, and I think that is what our kids need so much.
We all need that. And I think if we can build their foundation on learning experiences like that, we're not putting out that natural intrinsic motivation to learn, which I think a lot of the rote teaching to the test type styles do, right? So we're fostering that love of learning and the intrinsic motivation to seek this information out, and then hopefully fully live and express their authentic selves
100%.
As they live, instead of conforming, like you were saying, and living.
Yeah, and we know, like, you guys being educators, that, like, once they get to middle school and stuff like that, like, a little bit more structure and standardization is important. But my son, who's in 7th grade, is in all honors courses, straight A's. He's in algebra, which is a freshman level course, and he's a product of charter school. And so I go, the results are just written in the sand. Otherwise, I would not have my kids driving an hour to their school every day.
Sounds epic.
Yeah.
I want to. So what I saw yesterday is exactly what you said. Time. They called it
expression,
energy, but
money.
But they called it energy. But they said when you were young, you have a lot of time and energy, but no money. And when you're middle, you have energy and money, but you don't have a lot of time. And then when you're older, you have time and money, but not energy. And that really sat with me. Does it have to be separated like that? And in general, it kind of made sense. Like we have.
Yeah, and I will tell you this in the corporate world, because I was the VP. So when I took that job, I started off as just making some social videos. And then they were like, can you hop on a plane? And then I started that endeavor. Then I became the director for social video. And within 6 months, I was the vice president of operations at that company.
Boom.
I didn't do that because I was woo or, just living free spirited. Like, I just knew that the difference between freedom of expression, time, and money actually equated in the corporate world to cost, quality, and time. You can only have two at one time. So
Right.
if you want to have a high quality product in a timely manner, you're going to spend a lot of money.
Yep.
Or if you are an entrepreneur and you have no money, you're going to spend a ton of time to get that quality, right? So it's that triangle effect. And so, again, everything aligns, even not in just culture and religion, but also in the business world. Everything kind of is in its own cycle. And so I love that you saw that. I love it.
What are some strategies you personally use to keep you grounded, to keep you in balance, to keep you thriving in your life?
Okay. There's so many. But I'm going to start off with, I'm very grounded in who I am, but I am very high energy. So for when I have to do a sound bath, I am not this talking, and just super happy and go lucky. I actually show up 3 to 4 hours before my sound bath, every sound bath. I have to walk the lands, I have to ground, and I have to kind of entrain my own self to get down to a level of holding space, of not being the person that's like going all over the place, but the person that's just receiving and allowing everybody to just be. And so that's a practice in itself, and it's a meditation in itself. I believe by the elements, earth, wind, fire, and water. And I can go through those very quickly if you'd like. But earth is really the ability to be rooted and to be grounded. So you have to figure out, what does that mean for you? And what I always envision is this beautiful, gorgeous tree. And it might be blowing in the wind, and, it could potentially be knocked over, but it's not, because of how strong the roots are underneath. And so it's kind of, if you're shaken to your core one day, and it all happens to us, your tree doesn't waver. And so you have to find those. And those are our virtues, kind of what both of you guys have talked about. You have to figure out what do you stand for? What are your set of expectations and non-negotiables in your life? And then when you do that, you always hear the cliche of be unapologetically you. Well, to me, being unapologetically you means that when somebody likes you and they go, I don't like you, that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't sting. Because if it doesn't sting, it's because you don't like me, but this is exactly who, I can't change this. I can't change who I am. And that is earth, coming back. Hopefully I don't mess this up or whatever. I actually adopted this trait from one of your guests, Sheila from Tascam. Do you see that paper right there?
Yeah.
That's underneath it, I think. It's water. I don't know if you can see water. Okay, you can't see it. But on the other side, I have fire and I have air. Okay, those are my in my face reminders when I wake up, because putting it in my little notes or on my paper doesn't do it enough for me. I need to walk, it needs to smack me in my face. So earth is groundedness. Okay, water is very powerful. I do a lot of water magic in a lot of my sound baths, where we focus on how do you can either go with the flow and the current of things, or you might be stuck behind a rock, or it might be time for you to create a tidal wave, right? And then to get things going and flowing, you might have to be the tidal wave. So I look at that, and then air and fire, right? Air, innovation. That's the idea person. Okay, so somebody that has a lot of air magic has all these incredible ideas, but they can't put it on the ground because they're not rooted in their earth, and they are not fire. And fire is the ability to have enough passion or compassion to ignite something in yourself and to actually make it start to happen and come to fruition. So you guys had fire when you started your podcast. And I'm always curious, like when people start to learn this belief system, and my kids literally, they'll wake up in the morning. I'm like, dude, I was like, you need to put a little bit of fire underneath your butt, right? And they're just like, "Yeah." Like, but they talk in that way. They're like, Mom, I'm just so watery today. Like, cause they just feel so flowy and just like, they just want to lay on the couch and just, do nothing. And I'm like, okay, all right. But let's go to the trampoline park. And I'm like, idea, air magic, right? So that's how our family lives. We live in a magical Encanto, charmed house. Okay. That's what magic means to me. That's how I kind of balance myself. I'll look in, I'll be like, oh my gosh, why am I so low vibration today? I'm really, just down in the dumps. So I'm like, well, what's going to make me kind of come out of that? I need some air. And sometimes it's physical air. I need to go walk, right? We talk about these things. And I know you guys being in this therapeutic wellness space, you know how important it is to get fresh air, to be in nature, and to be just surrounded by other elements that are actually not in an office building and stuff like that. So that's my biggest way to balance. But also, because I have time, I use that time wisely. Hopefully that was helpful. I don't know if I answered your question well enough.
No,
But
you did. And I was just asking Catherine before this, in your bio, it's a steward of the earth, deeply connected to plants, animals, and the universe flow of energy. And I was like, what does that mean to be connected to the earth? I know there's value in having your feet touch the earth and you get the energy. You talk about that a lot, and the grounding and just being in nature. And I say I hate camping, but whenever I go, it's a magical experience, and it just takes away all the noise. Like you were talking about with the sound bath, all the noise is gone, and it's just you and nature, and you're just aware of the animals and the temperature and the stars, and it's almost such a grounding thing. And I say I don't like it, and it's very uncomfortable, and it's a lot of work for me.
I've got this on recording now.
No. And I will resist.
I love camping.
She loves it. I will resist.
Yeah,
But there is a lot of value in it that we
there
lose
is
with the noise of today's society and chaos and to do items.
The first thing I'll say is the majority of my life, I did not like bugs. I could not grow a flower or a plant for the life of me, the majority of my life. And then I was opened up to this world with some of my spiritual friends. And I always call myself boho bougie because I love me some nature, but like, I'm not going to go out and like sleep outside without a tent or something, I'm not that grounded in earth. But I love nature because nature, if anyone that understands nature or begins to start to really put it in their life, they see the connection in cycles. Okay. If you look out your window in a house, like you don't have to be in nature, you could look out your window and you put a bird feeder out there, you'll see the relationship of birds. I had never seen a hummingbird until last year. I put up 2 hummingbird stands and I put up 3 different kinds of bird feeders out my window. They not only come, they stay. They come and visit me through the window, like not through the windows, but like at the window. And they actually perch on trees. Didn't even know that they could stop their little fast wings, right? They actually sit there and I'm like, I can actually see them up close because there's a cycle. They understand that now they can come to me in the spring and summertime and it's a safe place because it's right near a holly tree. The more we listen to that, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it's so important to hear these analogies. Good. There is this family or friends of crows, and there's 4 houses kind of in my little area, and they actually take, what is it called, like a perch or whatever, and they talk to each other, and then they rotate and switch because they're all reconning the premises. And I'm like, because I never had time, I never saw that. And I'm that weird person now that goes, do you know that birds communicate and they actually do rotations to like scope out the area? And I'm like, this is fascinating. Like we do these things too, and we learn from them, so when we're more aware, I guess that's the bigger thing. Like I actually do like to step my feet onto the real earth and, feel that circadian rhythm and just feel like I'm within nature. But the other side of that is that if you start to stop and look at that spider or at the birds or whatever, you'll learn something from them. And they're not actually here to try to kill you. They're not. They're actually just trying not to die themselves and wanting to live their best life. They know something more than some of us do. So whenever I play things, sometimes I have these like beautiful shells over here. I don't know if you can see them or not. They're from Sri Lanka. These are shells, and they were made in Sri Lanka of seed pods. And the sounds they make are so magical. What people say is that they hear a flock of birds flying out of a tree. And I'm like, that is so gorgeous, but it's because they were in tune to that. They can now decipher those. But these are literally the outer casings of the thing that was inside that grows things for us. Do you see what, like, nature is all around us, and it is the most richest thing that we have, and we take it for granted so much, and it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything. You know, I have propagation stations, is what I call it, everywhere. Right. And it's great. We have a SpaghettiO garden because my kids love SpaghettiOs. I know it's processed, but they love it. It's whatever.
No judgment.
And so the SpaghettiO cans have like a face on them now, like the SpaghettiO noodles. So we plant spider plants in them, and we have a whole garden of SpaghettiO. It's a SpaghettiO garden, you know, and they love it. They take care of it or whatever. And that is so cool. Like, to me, it's cool. Yes. Right. But so that's kind of my connection. That's my deepest connection to nature, just to be aware.
I love that.
Even just the beach. I was thinking also the beach is nature, and the positive ions and the feeling you get just sitting at the beach. Where else do you go to sit for hours and hours and just
do nothing?
Are okay.
Yeah. That's freedom of time, right?
Yeah.
And so don't take your cell phone, or if you do, just to do it to take a picture. But, you know, they say that people that live by the ocean are 80% happier. Just being around water. And in fact, like, then we can tie that to social media. Did you know that the algorithm actually is in your favor when you have water or the color's blue in there? Like, there's certain kind of things, and it's because people crave that. Right? So if you ever see one of my reels and you see there's just random water in it, you guys now know why it's in there. Like, maybe it's a backdrop and stuff like that. So everything, including social media now. Businesses, cultures, religions, you pull it all together. Nature, it's all pulled together.
I love all of this. And I see how we can start to incorporate. I mean, I think we're incorporating a lot of it because we have the time and the freedom now because of the life we're curating continuously. But
and we're seekers. I think
and constantly seeking, yes. And I'm finding ways to draw it into the work I do with clients, into the psychology classes I teach. I went to a presentation on water and earth and bringing blue and green zones into your college classrooms. And all the research and everything behind it was amazing. But right after that conference I went to, I took my students outside. I made them do their journals outside. We were going to do our presentation outside, and they came back just so filled and full of life. I mean, it's an 8:00 on a Friday morning class, so they're like,
wow.
So just to send them out to write in a journal, a mindfulness practice that I had gave them, to see that energy come back. But my question is, so I'm finding ways, and it's an active process of trying to bring it into my own life and into all the people's lives I'm interacting with, my kids' lives. Do you have any ways that people out there, they're like, oh, I can't get out in nature, I don't have time, like you said? Are there ways that you recommend, just little tidbits to get that movement for them?
Yeah. So the free one would be start to think of, once you start to figure out a couple things you might like, create what I call daily rituals. So some people might call them routines. They're rituals for me. I do them every day. It's a part of who I am. When they start to like something, instead of having to go out and buy it or like pay for a service all the time, right? Maybe adopt something from Facebook Market. Like if they like bowls or whatever, like have a bowl and always make it present. I have a piece of paper I ripped out of an agenda years ago, and it sits on my mirror, and it says, do whatever lights your soul on fire. And so I see that every single time I go to wash my face. So these little friendly reminders, these big, Post-it notes are like a smack in my face every day. Oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, this is how I'm living, right? And also it then trickles down into my kids, and they go, Mom, what's a vibe, tribe, ohm, dome on the roam. And I go, honey, well, let me tell you, it's this charter bus I envisioned that actually opens up like this, and then it has speakers going to the outside, but then I can close it and I can have private sound baths on my charter bus. Ohm, dome on the road. I was like, but I've written it down in my air magic, right? It's there. I'm not going towards it yet. It's just like a friendly reminder, And so, and it teaches my kids how to do that too. So incorporating rituals, very, very important. Find the time. We have 24 hours in a day. And I can tell you, when I do my hour and a half sound bath, I do a guided journey. And there's a sacred pause in the middle of that guided journey. And every time I ask everybody, I go, how long do you think you were in that sacred pause? And they're like, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The most, 2 minutes. That's the most I'll do, because 2 minutes feels like an eternity for them. Advanced people, I can do up to 5 minutes, but sometimes then they just never come. I'm like, come back, whatever. But 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, 2 minutes, it can change their life. So you can slow down time. When you slow down your heart rate, you slow down your breath, you calm your parasympathetic nervous system, or whatever those big scientific words are. Yeah. And you can actually find time for yourself. Nobody can tell me that they don't have 7 minutes. Download the Calm app and listen to Jay Shetty, okay? His 7-minute, meditation every morning. You can do that. I know, because I've been there. I've made 6 figures. I've had that stuff, and I still had to make that time. I was extremely overweight during that time. Why? Because I was unhappy, and I think the more that we start to live in our happy and host our own happy, everything starts to get better. Our health, our wellness, our longevity. And, the number one regret that when people are dying that they say is, I wish I would have followed. Yeah, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have followed that dream that I had said, but they didn't. They followed somebody else's.
That's
Now
what scares the heck out of me. I heard that when I was little, and that, I think, is my drive to never just be stagnant. I've had jobs where I'm like, I could see this 30 years down the road. I've done this, and then I wake up and be like, why did I do that? For somebody else to, that, I think, 100% drives me.
Yeah, the question I get asked all the time, they're like, Jenny, why are you always so how do you have the energy, and why are you doing so many things? And the simply put is I only got a certain amount of time on this earth. I feel like I'm running out of time. Like Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm running out of time. I've got to get it all in. And, that might look like I'm changing myself all the time or reinventing myself, but I'm not. I'm just discovering a different pocket of myself, and I'm going after it, because I only got one time on this earth until my energy goes into something else. Right. And so, yeah, live like you're running out of time.
I love it. You mentioned, how does somebody get started? Kind of just finding the time.
Can I also just say, here's the way you can get started.
Yeah.
Just come to a sound bath. And if you don't know, right, and you're really skeptical, I'll invite you for free, as long as I don't have to pay for you, right? It just depends on where it is. But come to a sound bath, or just reach out to me, and I will hold a conversation with you. So that's my full-time job now. Is I want to live in my purpose. I need to get paid a little bit. Hopefully one day I don't have to do that. But yeah, I plan to do this forever. And so just come and talk to me. And I hope that I can help be a beacon of knowledge to help guide you in the right path.
That was it. I was connecting with you about, I turned 40, the midlife crisis, realizing none of this materialistic crap matters. Do you think we all get there? And how do you process that? Because it was very sad for me, very depressed. You work so hard for a job title, house, car, and then what's left? What's left over? Where do you go from there? None of this matters to me anymore. All this junk, get rid of it. I don't care. And then you have to find your purpose. And we moved to Virginia from San Diego. A hard move.
That's a hard move. Yeah.
Yeah. And then stuck at home and no relationships, no purpose, no meaning. And I think we were both in this, and Catherine we need to explore. We need to, like you said, host your happy. What motivate you and
Yeah.
getting into things. And we started
Well,
this, and I'm like, why not? And it's really, I love doing it. This is not work. It takes me hours to edit, but just
you
doing
love
this, I love it. It's not work. I'm so excited to get people on and honored, and even just to have
I
one
also
person
have
watch.
like some ideas that you guys can monetize this, by the way.
Ooh.
So,
I was going to ask you, you're a social media expert too.
yeah,
'Cause
I have some really cool ideas for you. But
okay, good.
here's the truth. When I turned 40, I felt the same way. Okay. In fact, the night before my birthday, I sat up all night writing a list of 40 things that I'm going to do in my year 40. I don't even think I did half of them. I don't really care. But that was before I started Om Dome. Okay. And then 40 hit, and I will tell you, it's been the best time of my life. And I realized that because with age comes with, oh my gosh, with age comes wisdom. In my world, we call it owl medicine. And so wisdom is, I think, the epitome of how we move forward. And you being a seeker and also asking yourself that question, like, what am I going to do? What am I doing in my life? I'm going to go ahead and phrase Bob Proctor again. All you say is, that's good. Because when you say that's good, no matter how good, bad, or indifferent things are, you're recognizing that you need a change. It's the people that go, what now? And then they continue to live that cycle until they die. Do they regret it? You're living your journey. And so the next step of that is not only asking that question and living the journey, but then enjoying the journey, which it sounds like you're doing right now. And so, you know, the short, simple term is be like Elsa and just like go into the unknown. Like that's the truth is like, there is a fear of the unknown. But, and this is the best quote. Kids are afraid of the dark. Adults are afraid of the light. And that's the truth. So if I were to ask myself, what was my biggest, scariest thing in starting Om Dome? It was that I was going to be seen. People were going to see the deepest part of who I am. And to many, it was a shock. They're like, where did this come from? And I was like, ha, ha, ha. I was like, the reason why I've been successful is because I've kept it to myself out of fear, not because of selfishness. I was literally scared. And so I'm now out of the spiritual closet. And maybe that's why I'm so high on life too, because I'm just like, finally, but there's a different stage all the time. And one of my good mentors, her name's Toverly, she put it in the way she goes, there's a floor and there's a ceiling. And she was like, every time that you reach that ceiling, make that ceiling your floor and then create a different ceiling and go. And she goes, and if you do that, A, you're untouchable, but B, you really, again, can't apologize for being who you are. People can either be upset about it or judge you on it, or they can come along and they can also do the same thing, right? And so those are some really powerful words by her. And I think about that every day.
Enter the arena. Right?
Yeah. Enter the arena, right? The man in the arena.
That's it.
Like, yeah, you can be the only one, but that's okay. Just go, I mean, I got lots of big plans for myself. Like I'm running out of time. I want to be fire walking certified because I want people to walk across those coals and stuff like that. But I want to do it with the right liability. So the woo and the work, right? And stuff like that. But I have lots of big plans and I'm not going anywhere fast. I'm not anywhere slow, I guess. I just keep going. And I love that you guys are doing that too.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yes. Yes.
I think we are.
Yes. I want to hear about, and I know we'll have to go soon, but I want to hear about your next venture, or maybe it's been a continued venture, but it piqued my interest of the Cozy Cottage. Or
Ooh, yes.
tell me about that and what will be happening there. I want to come.
Okay. So I'm glad that you actually brought that up because I was just on the phone with my dear friend going, this is the first time I really talked about like witchy things. So I'll be very, very transparent. I am a fully initiated high priestess, which follows the pagan's way. I hope that doesn't scare people. I hope it encourages people to ask me the questions. Yeah,
I
so
don't know
I'm a
what
witch.
I don't know what that is. Can you share
I'm a
what
witch.
you're a witch?
I'm a witch.
Ooh,
And I'm going to say that very blatantly that I'm a witch because when people hear
Why is that
that,
so funny? I
yeah,
don't
they
even know
just,
what that means. Like,
yeah, they're like, what does that mean? They're like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, do you have green skin and do you like go put hexes on people? No, that's not what I do. A witch simply is a pagan. It's somebody that practices spirituality and nature. That's really, and I saw in your notes too. It's like I'm an herbal alchemist. I believe in magic. You know, I don't believe that like I can go fly on a broom, although
That'd be cool.
that would be really cool. But that would require some technology and maybe, again, the work. Um, but I live my life in a very sovereign practice that I'm willing to share. I'm open and willing to share it with anyone and everyone. I have learned rituals and I guess you could call them spell work, but not in the terms that we know of, like in Hocus Pocus. Um, it's basically a master manifester, if that's what I would say. A witch is a master manifester. It is somebody that is so rooted and grounded in what they believe in that they now can go forth with what their purpose is. And a lot of it is usually connected to the elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. So when I talk about herbal alchemy, like today, I hit all my senses. So today I am burning in my little, it's not a cauldron, my little burner. I do have one though. I do have a cauldron. I'm not afraid to say it. But no, like I'm burning some copal. And in Catholic Church, guess what they burn is frankincense, copal, myrrh, right? In a lot of different Christian sects, they do baptisms. They have holy water. Same thing. Same thing. I just happen to know how to make holy water and moon water. And so when we talk about this little magical cottage, I met this wonderful woman. Her name's Amy. She's an interior designer. And again, since I'm unapologetically me, I'm like showing her my crystal ball or whatever we were at this spiritual market. And I was like, I really need an additional venue in the wintertime because I love my Hope Flower Farm and Winery, but it's not insulated. The barn is not insulated. We're still having it. It's like you can see your breath. Like this weekend, they can see their breath, but that's okay. I'm all for it. It's like cryotherapy sound bath. But I was telling her about it, and she goes, I happen to have a place. And I go, I mean, I really want something with cathedral ceilings. I'm all about like you have to hit the sight, sound, touch, feel, all things. And she goes, no, I have one. I have like a magical cottage in my backyard. And I go, what? And I had just met this woman. I go, okay, talk to me now. And this woman is a master manifester. She didn't even know it. She's a painter, and she painted this one house a long time ago. And 10 years later, she's living in it. During COVID, she imagined up this cute little cottage in her backyard, and she made it come to fruition. She has this quaint little magical cottage. It is unbelievable. And from all over the world, she didn't know that there was anybody like me or anybody spiritual in this area. She would fly people in from across the world, like shamans and spiritual beings for all these different kinds of rituals and sessions, if you will, and had, these people come over and stuff like that. And I go, oh, I was like, well, guess what? I live here and I think we should do this. And so we sat down for about 4 hours and it felt like 2 minutes. And we just talked about some of the most amazing things. And I said, we're going to do this. And so she gave me the bravery. And yesterday or the day before was the first time I posted an actual gathering called a sisterhood gathering. And I want to do a brotherhood one too. So I promise, whatever anybody wants to do. But this one I felt like was very special because what we talked a lot about was divine feminine. And a lot of the things that both of us have gone through or are going through and what women go through. And so this one just felt right. So that evening, I'm not going to give away all of the secrets, but there will be a special sound bath. It's underneath the final quarter moon of 2024 intentionally. The date even looks beautiful. It's 12/22 224, something along that lines. I don't know. It's pretty. And it'll be lit for them to come down. We're going to have a total of 15 guests, but only 12 can publicly actually purchase it. We have a couple others that we are inviting in. Yeah, we're going to make some moon water, right? I'll teach people how to do that. I'm going to teach a couple of rituals. It's not going to be anything scary. It's more just an intro into, just pagan learnings and teachings. It doesn't mean that you're going to become a witch or you're going to become pagan or anything like that. But if there was one about Hinduism, I'd go to that. If there was one about any type of thing, monotheism, polytheism, whatever it is, I'd go to it. And so this is more of an educational piece so that we can make the world a little less scared.
And talk about manifestation. This woman didn't come into your life for this to happen to you? Like, come on.
Oh,
like
100% it did. It's alignment.
Yes.
Right? Because here's where the alignment was. I had 2 retreats booked on that day that I had to be a sound bath at. Both of them canceled. No. So I ended up having this free ticket from Remnants of Magic. They had this market here, and they had given me a free ticket 3 weeks prior. And I said, I can't make it, but I'm going to hold on to it. And then I got a text from Holly, who owns Hope Flower Farm and Winery. She goes, you should go to this. And I go, and both of those retreats canceled on me. And I go, I guess I'll just go. And then I met this woman. You can't make this up. I'm mind blown, but at the same time, I understand that that's how things work. Mm-hmm. They work in cycles.
And you said yes. And
I said yes.
Important.
I said yes. I said I'm going to go. Why not? Wow. And I got a really cool sound bowl at that market. But I'm telling you, the more and more that we do this, people go, how do all the bad things happen to me? Or how do all the good things happen to me? It's a cycle. So if you live in gratitude and you live in the present, then the present will come. What you want will come. But if you don't know what you want, that's step 1. Go figure it out. I'm also a little bossy.
I think people would judge though. Oh, you have a nice house, you have money, and I'm living, in the basement, and I'm working at this shitty job, and how am I supposed to be grateful? But we all were there. We all were there. I had a terrible job. I had no money. Yeah. How did we get through that?
So grateful. Chris and I both we come from a very humble blue collar family. I mean, my dad was a military. He retired as a CW4. I lived in Texas. We went all over the place. We lived in a tiny apartment with 2 sisters. We all shared rooms. We loved it, but the difference was that my dad and my mom made our lives magical. We didn't know that we were, I'm not going to say poor, but we were not well off, but they taught us how beautiful life could be in that tiny apartment. In fact, I love living in smaller quarters, to be honest with you. I'm here because my husband loves land. I don't know, men, why do you guys like to have grass? You have to cut it then. But now I love it because I love nature, right? But before I didn't understand. But I lived in a tiny little place, and I loved it because I could walk to everything. And so it's what you make of it. I'll tell you, the smallest part of this house is my favorite part of the house. And I'll actually show it to you if you guys would like me to show it to you. Yeah. It's my closet that I've turned into Narnia. I'm not kidding.
I was going to say, our old house in California, you mentioned calm. I devoted to do 100 hours, and I would go into this closet, and I put lights and pillows and
I made it our little meditation.
It was a meditation. And yeah.
I had this big house because I dreamt, and I wanted this big house for my kids. I wanted my kids to be able to run around. I wanted them to feel like they could do whatever they wanted, but with work. Now, with a big house, by the way, there's a lot more work. And guess what? My kids know how to empty the dishwasher, do their laundry, mop the floors. I mean, they're not Cinderella. They have a lot of fun, right? But if you want something, you have to work for it. And so my husband and I have worked tooth and nail. My husband, he's going to kill me for saying this, does not have a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree, and I'm still paying for it, just so you guys know. Yeah. My husband is a global senior director for something, Salesforce, IT. I guess he's a big to-do or something. He's in the top of the company. And it's all because he has work ethic. Yep. He worked his butt off to be where he is. So if you want something, you have to work for it. I told my husband I wanted a sound chamber of gongs, and he laughed at me because we could never afford one gong. Okay? I'm going to show you guys something really quick. Okay? So here are my elemental gongs.
Oh, my goodness.
I custom designed those. That's earth, wind, fire, and water.
Wow.
Hold on. over here. Hold on. Let me see if I can come. You see my ring light?
Oh, the whole room. It's
Then
the whole room.
there. Yep.
I was going to say,
Okay.
Catherine is so jealous. She's going to
Just
go
wait.
and start shopping for all this stuff. And I'm like,
Just
oh,
wait.
no.
Oh,
You want to
that
see my
gong
home
when it is
meditation
finally-
gong?
What?
Okay.
That's my meditation gong.
Oh, beautiful.
Wow.
50 inches.
Beautiful.
Okay. How did I do that? I stayed up at 2:00 in the morning, had business meetings with people in China, with people in Nepal, with people like I changed my clock and I worked with them and I went directly to the source instead of ordering through different third parties and having all of the inflation tacked onto it. I waited 2 months for them to be shipped in a freight across the sea, hoping that I was not being bamboozled. That's how I did it. So if you want something, do it. Do the work, you know. But I know it's hard.
In there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to show you my.
And people see the final product. Wow, you have all this stuff. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
They didn't see you in that small apartment many years ago, and the
They do
work
not.
and time and effort you put into it.
I used to drive a big red bus during the day. It had no seats in it, and I would drive to the daycares and teach little kids, you know, exercise stuff. You know, like rub your hands together. Put them up. Do we want to land on our heads? No, like that thing. And then at night I would bartend.
Yep.
And then I also was in my master's courses. You have to do the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my prerequisites is if we're going to move somewhere, it has to have a cathedral ceiling so that I can have this.
A giraffe.
Oh, a giraffe too, yeah. But I wanted
Yeah.
a big tree. Like that was the number one requirement for us moving into a house. But I will say that the first house actually not the first house, for 2 years we tried to buy a house and we got denied. So we bought a tiny house. Sold that house. Had to buy a little bit bigger house. Sold that house. So now we're here. Okay. We put in the work and the time for it. So I'm going to walk over here. And also, again, my husband forgets me. We're going into my bathroom. Did you guys know that this is where we were going? Would you like to see my puppy?
It's fun. We're getting
Behind
a
the
whole tour.
scenes, yes.
Behind the scenes, because again, I'm not apologetic. Nala.
You have a Nala?
No.
This is Nala.
We have
She's
a
the
Nala.
20-year-old with no eyes. See?
Oh my gosh.
Hi, baby. Hi. How are you?
That was our first puppy Nala that passed last year.
Really?
She was our first child.
Listen, 20 years old. I didn't even know. Apparently, terriers can live that long. I had no idea. So, and she has no eyes. Can't hear. We're going even deeper into my closet. Are you ready? Let me see.
I don't know. Where
You didn't know. You didn't know you were. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I've got to set this up.
Unapologetically
I love
you.
this.
Yes.
I love this
I'm
so much.
100% unapologetic. Okay, so we're in my closet. It's messy too. Now, we're going to turn this around maybe. Can I turn that?
Secret closet within the closet?
Magic door.
It's not even.
Wait, how do
a
I
closet.
reverse this?
Narnia?
I don't.
Is it
It's
a
not.
Narnia? I saw a
There's a little-
boudoir thing.
Okay, you ready? It's not letting me flip it. So
Oh,
that's my closet. Okay. I mean, this is hilarious. I might have to give you better footage. Okay. And I got this off of Facebook Market. You walk in. This is my creation station.
Oh,
Narnia.
my goodness. Oh, it has a window.
There's a window.
No, where?
This was Chris's closet, and then no, but this is tiny.
No, Chris doesn't have a closet.
Chris does not have a closet anymore.
Stuff's in the basement. He's fine.
Yeah, pretty much. No, it's tucked away in different places. He doesn't need it. He doesn't care about fashion.
This is
But
amazing.
so to make this happen, I had to find every measurement possible in this little closet and make sure that everything fit perfectly. Are you laughing?
I'm trying to get a.
I could take a real picture, but I'm not kidding.
I am
like,
in love with this. This
okay,
is
so that's
amazing.
my. These are my personal oracle decks.
Okay.
This is my desk that I work at.
Wow.
These are my paintings. See, remember I told you owl medicine?
Uh-huh.
That's on a
owl,
bottle.
not owl.
This is the goddess Bridget, who's the only goddess that Christians and pagans can actually agree on. Saint Bridget, same thing. Okay. This is my apothecary, which is all of my herbs. I don't know if you can see them. It has like nettles
Oh
and
my goodness.
right. And I burn them and it's fun. This is the kids' library.
Nice.
Mama, what's a witch? And it's the most beautiful book and like all these things. And then this is my study.
Oh my goodness.
right? And so
This is
I can't believe I'm showing you all of this, but
I
this is where I spend my nights. I come in here when I do my own sound, like healing or whatever, my guided journeys, like when people give them to me, I lay on my couch, right? And then when it snows, it's even more magical because like I just open up the window and just look out the window and stuff like that. So,
oh my
but
goodness.
so if people say they have a small space, I don't give a shit. Like your house can look like this. Sorry. Your house can look like this, right? Like, in fact, I wish I could do this to my whole house. Like, it's just that costs a lot of money, but it's going to come to fruition at some point.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, no.
That is amazing.
I know.
What's behind the other little door? You had a little door.
This door, this
That's
door is my bathroom. So eventually this is going to be a hidden doorway, but that's all, again, I guess there can be only so much magic, my
So
husband
much.
says.
so much
He
magic.
always laughs and he's like, Jenny, really? So here's something that's cool too.
Sounds familiar.
This sounds.
These are, so this wallpaper is fantastic.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
And this paint, I know it looks like weird. It's because I have a chandelier in here, actually, in a closet. But it's actually all just dark green. But what I did was I spent one night, I turned on some beautiful music, and I wrote down all my intentions on the wall with the green paint. So they're all embedded in there. And then I painted over it. And so that's a ritual. It's like just do whatever. Oh, gosh, I got to show you one thing. Okay. This is my Christmas present from last year. You're going to love it. Well, I think you're going to love it. So this right here, a guy that works at National Geographic had friends that are dancers that got married. So he wanted to do something special. These are just normal feathers, okay? But they dance. I don't know if you can see that or not. Can you see it at all?
Oh, I see some movement. Huh?
It's hard to see on this thing, right? But I'm going to have to videotape it and show you.
Yeah.
But you can put any piece of nature. So when my kids and I go walking and stuff, if we find a leaf or whatever, you put it in there and then the whole thing just does this all the time or whatever. It's just so cool. But basically there's projectors like in here and then it helps. And then the whole thing just looks like it's flowing. It's really cool. Anyway.
That's awesome. I love it.
Welcome to my witch wing.
I would be there all
My
the time.
witch wing.
I don't think I'd ever leave.
I always think of like the Salem witch trials, and then what was that? People were getting sick and they didn't know why, and so they blamed it on these people that had different understandings in the.
So I actually went to
unknown.
Salem.
Oh yeah,
during
I went there all the
COVID.
time.
To go
Yeah, I
there.
grew up there, and we'd take a field
You
trip there.
did?
Oh yeah, not in Salem, but New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Area.
Oh, I love it's the most beautiful place ever. I'm telling you, like go back. Well, don't go back there, but go back there. But yeah, before I started my spirituality and just really just diving in, I was having a lot of identity crisis as a mom. Don't we all, right? And I was like, I just can't. I just need to go somewhere. And this is cool. You guys should do this too if you don't yet. My husband and I each agreed that 1 week out of the year, we can do whatever we want.
Yep.
And so he always goes camping. He always goes camping. And I'm like, why? I go on a solo vacation by myself. So one of my solo vacations was I just drove to Salem and I did my own guided tour. I stayed in the Hawthorne Hotel and I did all the things and it was so incredible. But I've gone to St. Martin by myself or whatever. It's different when you go and have a vacation with yourself.
Yeah.
There's nobody you can complain to for them choosing the wrong place or being late or whatever. You just do whatever you want. You know? But yeah, so actually this is, can you see it? That broom?
Oh yeah.
That broom is from Salem,
Nice.
from that witch. Yeah, the only witch right here.
Wow.
So like being a witch, whenever you put brooms near the windows, it helps you keep all of just bad energy and bad spirit out there. You know, like we're not trying to like cast a spell or anything. It's just a reminder that you need to sweep out the things that don't serve you. This escalated quickly. I wasn't planning on talking about,
I
know,
would
witch.
talk for hours and hours more.
I know.
I got two things. Number one, could we be best friends?
Yes.
We love you. This is awesome. Number two, tell people where can they find you, social, website, how can they get more information or take that first step?
So the best place you can find me and the easiest is ohmdome.org, and that's Ohm with an H. So ohmdome.org. And you'll find all of my social channels there as well, and even a Spotify icon where you can find a lot of the set lists that I use as drone music. So if you are not ready yet to come to a sound bath or you just need some ambient music at night, I have them already set up for you. So check that out.
I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and actually I'm building this incredible group called the Om Dome Vibe Tribe on Facebook. It's, what's it, tiny? No, it's mighty and it's mini but mighty.
that's
It's
it.
about 400 people deep, but like again, like just in being in social media before and just understanding it, it doesn't really matter about reach and how many people are watching. It's about who you already have. And I don't have 400 people engaging right now. So I don't need to have 20,000 yet. But if you join it, the cool thing is you're the first one to get exclusive information. You get discounts, and soon I'll be giving away 2 free tickets every week at a Vibe Tribe Live. So that's in the works. And for each Vibe Tribe Live, starting in 2025, there's going to be a specific topic that I talk about. Hopefully that's the goal. So that's kind of like my mini podcast. But it's just to those that choose to join, and it's free. So
I love seeing the updates and the little that you post and the conversations and the comments. And so, yeah, I'm a part of that. And I like it. So far. And you grew really quick, I think. So I think
I think so too. I mean, I was not like, it was one of those things where it was on my fire notepad, and I go, I got to start this. I told myself I was going to start it. So it was a good reminder. And I was like, okay, I'm starting this. I'm not ready. Right. I have good prompts and stuff like that, but I really would like to do a great job. But we all always struggle with trying to aim for perfectionism or being prepared ahead of time. But just like this, I looked at the questions and I was going to pre-write out answers, and I go, that just didn't feel right. I think when we have the answers already, we just go and you just do it.
And I don't love sending questions, but some people ask for it.
I loved reading through them because it lets me know what your intentions are.
Sure.
So that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
we tend to just go completely off of
And-
what.
And we did
More
today.
natural.
Yeah,
That's more natural. I think that's what people
Yeah.
do.
But at least we have a framework we could come back to if we're struggling to think of something.
Yeah.
But usually we're just eager to learn and interested in whoever's on, especially everything you're sharing. It's like, just want more, just want more. So, yeah.
Well, and I appreciate you guys being so open to that too, because I know like it's hard to have to navigate in podcasting and interviewing people. It's hard to navigate like how am I going to get this to the viewer so that it makes sense too sometimes. And so I just appreciate what you guys are doing too. I know you're doing a lot of it pro bono. I can tell because you're just doing it with your heart. But also I think that it's definitely gonna lead to something, and enjoy it. Like just please enjoy it. Too many people are too stressed out in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to just go into all of this with the beginner's mind and just thinking like just showing up and just doing it. And if we make mistakes, it's a learning process and just having
And you
fun.
learn quickly. Yeah, you have fun.
I would say another huge takeaway is I think it brings us closer together.
Yes.
It forces us to have this time together that we wouldn't be spending together without.
You guys are brave souls. I don't know if I could work with my husband. I don't.
There's some arguments behind scenes.
See, I like that honesty too, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that would be a great podcast in general. Like,
Oh, yeah.
people think that this is fun and roses, but
Yeah.
The outtakes.
We do CEU crowdcast too, and we'll be like arguing right up to the moment, and then like we go on. But then it gives us a chance to sort out all the things that it's like therapy for us.
yeah,
It's good.
yeah, you guys give yourself that time, and I mean that's what's really helpful for me with the sound baths is I plan a lot of time before and after to just be.
Yeah.
Because if you have to dive right back into something, like it never gets resolved, just in whatever feelings are happening in that moment and stuff. But man, I feel like you guys just opened me up, like,
Aw.
and you did a fantastic job. And I really enjoyed speaking with you. I love what you're doing. I really
That's
do.
awesome. We would love any input. Maybe not right now, but
Yeah, we'll
any
have
you have or any ideas or suggestions or feedback. We are definitely still learning and growing, and I think even having the 3 makes it so much more challenging than just a one-on-one. So we're still working on timing and questions and who goes and when, and
Yeah.
it's been a great learning experience for us. But yeah, we started this with just growth mindset, just learning from people, and we didn't care who listened. But as we grow, we want more people to get the value we're getting from you and think there's a lot to it. And so how do we shout that from the rooftops?
Well, and you're creating your own timeless portal. Because when people do catch on, even a year or 2 from now,
go back?
they'll go back and they can listen to every single one of them. And they're going to actually join your journey. and it's kind of fun. It's like when you watch a whole season of something,
Oh,
you
way to
know.
look at it.
Hopefully they don't
I'm, like,
watch the
dreading
earlier
them
ones.
going back to the
Yeah,
beginning.
they're not so great.
But
It's okay.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things on the internet that I go, oh, you know, I was sitting or whatever, but it's there forever. And honestly, that was just a part of me. You know, I just feel like that's I'm not
embrace
sorry
it,
about it.
accept it.
No.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to come to my first sound bath. I'm hooked
Oh.
now. I want to thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome. You're great. Let's
Oh,
keep in
you're
touch.
so very welcome. You
Happy
guys are
holidays.
wonderful. Happy holidays.
Okay.
Ooh, all right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Jenny.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.